Now, a lot of friends have been asking me about 6G and the 6th generation network, and being that I'm part crazy person, part scientist, I can give you the real honest and my real thoughts. Now, you have ionizing radiation, where photons, basically, the higher the frequency, the more powerful the photons are, and it's the most simplest formula ever to work out the power of a photon, or the energy. It's a constant, Planck's constant, times the frequency. So basically it gives you the energy. So the energy of a photon is higher the higher the frequency. Now 5G is not 5 gigahertz like a lot of people think what it can be, but it's sort of like 3 gigahertz and up. Now, the closer that you are to the mast, the more energy there is, right? Because the amplitude is higher, closer to the source of the antennae, and it reduces the further away you get. Now, with 5G, we're at gigahertz frequencies, so 3.5 gigahertz, 5, even 10 gigahertz. That's 10 billion oscillations a second, which is really hard to imagine. I've made loads of videos so you can visualize this, but it's pretty hard to imagine. From here to the moon in a second is how fast it travels, 300 million meters a second. But basically, I hope I don't lose you here, but terahertz frequencies going up another 1,000 or 3 orders of magnitude is where 6G is going to be at. Now DARPA's working on it, I know South Korea's working on it, I'm sure the US and Europe are working on it. What this means is a very clever guy put together a sort of Moore's law for electromagnetism, and every 18 months electromagnetic frequency spectrums that we use sort of doubles, is what they say. So by 2027, 2028, we'll probably see, I guess, 6G, 6th generation networks at terahertz frequencies. Now, you're still 3 orders of magnitude away from the next one up, petahertz, which is where you get into the dodgy stuff that can affect humans, can affect DNA. And if we're going to use this, the antennas need to be a lot closer. Because the frequencies are closer together, you need to have, for the same energy, the radio waves will not get as far as 5G. And you see 5G towers everywhere, but you would need 6G towers, even, as they say in 1984, more everywhere, or everywhere. So this is what worries me a little bit with the terahertz. I don't want to put negative stuff out there, but you know, you're one step away basically from ionizing radiation, which we all know ionizes the body from all different types of radiation. So I'm a little bit skeptical about 6G. I don't think 5G has been the world that we were promised, the world that I read about and studied. But the maths, very simply, I don't want to put anything out there other than what I can prove and what I know. I build a lot of stuff with radio waves. I've got like an IC 700, 7300. I've built my own radios. I really have a deep understanding compared to most on how radio works. And these antennas that you see everywhere, right, they're like 300 watts. They're really low power, these 5G stations. But if we start having 6th generation stuff in every lamppost, I feel like I would be definitely more on the, on the side of not concerned, shall we say. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Let me know if you need any more information on 6G and terahertz frequencies. And the more I've learned about maths and science and physics, the less conspiratorial I get. I mean, I am massively on that side of conspiratorial, because I can't even imagine what goes on now that I know what goes on. But in terms of the physics of an antenna, you can go and take one apart and see what it's doing. They're not as dangerous as people think, but 6G I don't think would be ideal.